Mike Gesicki is a 6'6", 250-pound tight end who plays like a high-end wide receiver. He's lined up in a tight slot to the wide side of the field on this play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Gesicki is running an out route. Critically, the defense is showing an aggressive cover zero blitz with 7 defenders threatening the quarterback and off-man coverage in behind. This alignment tells Gesicki that the safety to his side of the field will cover him. That means adjusting his route by sharpening the break and cutting it a little bit shorter so that the deeper defender can't close to him before he gets outside, and the quarterback can get the ball out earlier in the play. But the defense is actually playing cover 3 zone. The deep safety is irrelevant to Gesicki. He instead has to consider the underneath defender. We know he recognises this instantly because he's angled his release towards the sideline instead of releasing directly towards the safety like he would if he was expecting man coverage. By angling his release like this, he prevents the defender from sliding wide of him. Gesicki forces him to stay on his inside shoulder, which maintains the space between him and the sideline outside. The defender's eyes are on the quarterback in the pocket. Gesicki knows this, so he doesn't cut to the outside until he's past the defender's outside shoulder. He's now working in the defender's blind spot and can go where he likes without the defender realising. These subtle details allow the tight end to create more than a yard of space when he breaks to the outside. He gets an uncontested catch and turns upfield for the first down. That's an elite route and adjustment from Gesicki. He mentally adjusted as soon as the picture changed in front of him and had the physical ability to take advantage of it. This is another play from the same game. This time Gesicki is in a wider slot position and he only has one defender to consider before the snap. This time he is working against man coverage, so he releases to the defender's body, then sidesteps in once the space is closed. At this point in the play, he's threatening up the seam as much as he's threatening an outbreaking route. This prevents the defender from drifting to the outside as soon as Gesicki gets level with him. You can see Gesicki again pushes past the defender to turn him before turning to the outside. This puts the defender in a losing position. His momentum is going in the wrong way. This is another perfect route against the polar opposite coverage, aggressive man coverage. And to complete the set of out routes, here we see Gesicki show off his quickness on an out route to beat a Las Vegas Raiders cornerback playing off man coverage against him. The ease with which Gesicki runs routes is startling for a player of his size, and that size combined with his athleticism gives him great balance. We see the value of that balance against the Indianapolis Colts for this touchdown. Gesicki is the interior slot of a tight triple bunch on the right side. His route is going to go across the field against zone coverage, so he draws the attention of both inside linebackers. Since his route runs across the line of scrimmage and between the tackles, the defenders can engage him physically to try and knock him off course. He's going to have to deal with 2 separate points of contact during his route. But before he encounters the linebackers, the first thing he has to do is widen his first step to go around the defensive end. He's barely touched by the linebacker immediately after that, but he is tripped up by him incidentally. Gesicki now has to regain his balance while maintaining his speed with the second linebacker's hit about to come. He smoothly regains his upright position just before the second hit arrives. While his route veers behind the line of scrimmage for a moment because of the hit, he's kept the timing of the play alive by staying upright and absorbing it. The disruption in the route means the quarterback throws him an awkward pass, which he does well to adjust to before falling into the end zone for the score. Against the Minnesota Vikings, we see the precision and quickness that Gesicki can use to run routes in tight spaces. He plays in the slot a lot, and in spite of his size, he often looks like a slot receiver when he moves. He's again in a slot receiver position here and he's tight to his offensive line. He's going to run a shallow curl route, but not the traditional one that you expect. It's going to have multiple breaks instead of just going forward in a straight line and turning around. We can see how Gesicki's first step looks like he's releasing to the flat before he turns vertical. At this point, the first receiver through the zone is going to pull the attention of the deeper defender, so Gesicki only has to be concerned with the safety outside and the linebacker to his inside. The deeper defender doesn't matter anymore. The linebacker and safety are both looking to Gesicki and the running back in the same lines of vision. The green square is the blind spot that Gesicki needs to get to without drawing the attention of the linebacker. He needs the linebacker to believe that Gesicki is working vertically so he's not his responsibility. Gesicki is able to smoothly make his movement and then stop on a dime so that he doesn't carry across to the next zone defender. It gives the quarterback the widest possible window to throw into, and it gives Gesicki an uncontested catch for the touchdown. You expect your tight end to be able to beat linebackers in coverage, and if he's a highly paid tight end, he should beat safeties too. You don't expect your tight end to regularly match and better the speed of cornerbacks though. In the same game against the Vikings, we saw how quickly and how smoothly Gesicki ran a skinny post route against a cornerback in off-man coverage. Thanks to Madden, there's a widely held misconception that routes are meant to be run following lines painted on the floor, and it's also why people think great route runners are flashy route runners, when in reality, the great route runners are smarter and more subtle than anything else. They're able to diagnose the coverages they face, and they adjust their route to them so they come open within the timing of the play. Gesicki is an inline tight end on a 3-point stance to the right side here. He's running a corner route while the running back behind him goes to the flat. Gesicki releases into his route, but the defender in front of him steps forward, into the path of his crossing route, instead of dropping into zone coverage. It creates an immediate obstacle for him that he has to adjust to. Your average NFL tight end will try to run through the defender here and get slowed down so that the timing of the play is ruined, or he just never gets open. He's bogged down in the coverage. Gesicki adapts his route. He's then confronted with a second defender, and the obvious route here would be to go upfield past the linebacker's left shoulder. But if he does that, the linebacker and other defender are far more likely to drop with him in his route and still be able to see him. And the linebacker will also have a chance to slow him down by getting his hands onto his body. But Gesicki doesn't go in that direction. He steps across the defender and then loops back around so that he's in his blind spot. This puts Gesicki in position to run in behind the coverage, so he's looking back to the ball while the defenders are both turning to look at him. The quarterback's ball is underthrown, which brings the defenders back into the catch point. Gesicki's technique is perfect as he reaches up and back to meet the ball at its highest point, but this also exposes him to the defenders. The end zone angle shows us the defender swatted the ball as it reaches Gesicki's hands. He shows off incredible hand strength and concentration to maintain control through the catch point and to the ground. Gesicki will make another spectacular catch on this play against the Houston Texans, and he again sets it up with a very good route. He's working through the middle of the field on a crossing route. Again, there's a linebacker in his way, but this time he uses a quick, decisive step to widen the defender and advance upfield instantly. It's a type of smooth movement you expect to see from a wide receiver, but not from a tight end. This time, the quarterback overthrows the ball instead of underthrowing it. That exposes Gesicki because now he has to reach up and expose his ribs in an area of the field where defenders are generally waiting for you. The end zone again shows us his incredible hand strength to snatch the ball out of the air and maintain control of it as he falls to the ground. That's an incredible play. It's also an incredibly brave play. Against the New York Giants, Gesicki faces press man coverage against the cornerback. He's going to run a slant route as the backside route in an RPO play design. Although he's aligned inside the numbers, it's going to be a true one-on-one matchup because the defenders in the middle of the field will all be pulled forward to the line of scrimmage when the quarterback executes his read in the pocket. Gesicki wants to release past the inside shoulder of the defender, so his first movement is a jab step outside. He doesn't need the cornerback to move much, he just has to hold him so that he can get leverage to the inside. Once he does that, he can put his big body between the defender and the ball. From the end zone angle, we can see Tua Tagovailoa put the ball on Gesicki's body rather than out in front of him. This brings the cornerback back into the play at the catch point, and while the defender does a great job to reach in and try to disrupt the ball, Gesicki shows off great hand strength again to maintain control through to the ground. Against the Atlanta Falcons, the Dolphins run the same play from a slightly different formation. Gesicki isolates against the slot cornerback and wins in the route. The difference this time is Tagovailoa throws the ball out in front of him, so he makes a hands catch away from his body. Gesicki's size and ball skills make him a very difficult receiver to beat at the catch point if the ball is at all catchable. Again against the Giants, Gesicki is the interior slot and is going to run a crossing route. As the play develops, we can see him get a step on the defender in man coverage trailing him, and then the space opens up in front of him. The quarterback should take advantage of the separation Gesicki has created and lead him downfield into the green area for an uncontested catch. But instead, he underthrows the ball, so Gesicki has to work back to it, meeting it at its earliest possible point and turning into the defender so he protects the ball. The end zone angle shows us how Gesicki's size and ball skills turned what should have been a contested catch situation into an uncontested completion. Gesicki's catch radius is huge and he consistently plays to it. For this one-handed grab, he works down the sideline outside the numbers and is well covered by the defender. The tight end acrobatically adjusts in the air while spinning in the wrong direction to grasp the ball with one hand extended away from his body. For this crossing route against the Bills, we see Gesicki's ability to get beneath an underthrown ball and pick it up before it hits the ground. If he was hitting stride here, he would have been able to continue downfield, but he wasn't, so he was forced to just save the play. And he's not just big, he also plays big when the ball is in the air. This high point fade sees the defender reach up and only make his chest as he leaps off the ground and extends his arms fully to pluck the ball away from its highest point. Gesicki was underused in Miami by design. It's a similar situation to when Mike Martz traded Greg Olsen away from the Chicago Bears, but this time the Dolphins are more justified letting such a talented player go because they had Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Gesicki is a major mismatch piece who can be the number one receiver for a Patriots offense that desperately needs one. Him and Hunter Henry are somewhat similar, and they're both very good, but Gesicki should be the go-to guy in New England if all goes to plan.